Atul Gopal from PowerSap. So here we are at the MG showroom in Nasik, and this is the latest baby from MG, MG Comet. It is the largest selling four-wheeler car that MG makes in China, and the expectation that we have is that it should do decent numbers here in India also. So let's kind of have a look at what's going around. So the first thing, of course, is for people who are used to the Mahindra E2O, so you would kind of possibly see a very similar uh, design and setup. So we have two doors, we have a short wheelbase, lovely city car, right? But I would say that somewhere the resemblance ends over there, because there are two things which I find really different about this car. The first is the build. So it's a monocoque chassis, right? And it's not a space frame chassis which the E2O had, which was not really very comfortable. But a monocoque chassis means that the body is able to absorb the shocks better, and it goes for a much better ride quality. And the second thing that kind of is really good is that the interiors, the fits and finishes that you look at are really kind of world class, and that's something which was missing in the E2O. One thing which is again common to both the E2O and the Comet is that they are not ICE engines vehicles which have now been redesigned for electric. So these are what we call as a ground up electric vehicle, and the difference shows in the architecture, right? So you can see that you have a motor which is fitted behind. In the Tiago, which is a kind of a refurbished ICE vehicle, you have the motor which sits in the engine bay, so there is no engine bay over here. And the second is you got your battery pack which is sitting down, right? And that's kind of something which is really the best design. The Nexon has it, right? And this accounts for a very, very good stability. So this is a vehicle with a tall boy kind of design, and we were a little bit unsure of what the stability would be, because if your vehicle is tall, on turns you tend to kind of have a problem of overturning. But because most of your weight is low, the center of gravity is low, and that's the reason why we would expect that this vehicle should be stable even when you're kind of taking turns at relatively high speeds. So the Tiago weighs 50% more than the Comet. So the Comet weighs in at about 815 kg, the Tiago is 1200 kg plus. So the expectation was that this is a vehicle which would have given a much better watt hours per kilometer, right? And being an environmentalist, this is the first thing that I look at in the vehicle: how much does it consume, right? So my guess is that the company claims roughly about 75 watt hours per kilometer. That's what also the Tiago claims.
Weather is mostly cloudy, 32.8 in Nashik.
Thank you very much. Right, that's the advantage of automation. So 75 is what the company claims, 100 is what it probably will deliver on, which means that you could expect a real life range of about 150, 160 kilometers. Now, the question that comes to mind is why, if the weight is so less, does the watt hours per kilometer does not come down? And I think the reason is in the verticalness of the car, right? So the coefficient of drag is going to be much higher in this particular vehicle, and especially when you're looking at city speeds of say 60 kmph, right? You are going to be losing out on energy, right? And that's the reason why the Tiago actually ends up doing the same thing, because it got a much better, more aerofoil kind of a shape. And I think that's something that MG can look at in future cars, but the way this space is designed, I don't really think you can come down on the coefficient of the drag. It's the same story with the Nano, right? And I think we'll have to live with it. Again, a lot of people have been going gaga over the steering wheel, and I think it's a nice, cute little kind of a thing. I don't know how functional it is when you're driving, but I'm a little bit kind of worried. The white looks beautiful, looks lovely, but how it will kind of stand up to the grime and the dust of normal usage, we'll have to kind of see. What I like the best actually about the vehicle is the gear knob, right? So you have a LED feedback that's coming in. You also have a click that kind of comes in. right? And this is something that the Tata should learn, right? MG gets its dials bang on, right? And that's something that we need to have as a standard in almost all the cars. So this is like very good work done, MG. You have to kind of get this guy out of the way, and you kind of get in, okay, and push it in, okay, and it's kind of not claustrophobic for sure. You have enough light coming in, the windows are open, you should not have too much of a problem, right? 5 feet 9 inches guy can kind of sit, you have sufficient headroom, right? This kind of obstruct your vision, so this kind of adds a little bit. I don't know why uh, the separate headrest could not have been given, but overall I don't really expect too many people to be sitting in the back seat of this car, right? So but in the rare case that they do, you're not going to die of suffocation. Okay, so can you end up, bookings open very soon, and can you end up buying this thing? Well, the answer is yes and no, because the company is being selective about who it wants its first customers to be. So you're going to be asked to fill a questionnaire. They will confirm that you are an urban user, you don't plan to take it on the highways, right? And only after the salesman interviews you do you end up getting to buy this vehicle, which is actually not too bad a strategy. So Bharat Benz, when it came into India many years ago with its trucks, ensured that you would not have people who are overloading trucks who were customers, right? And I think that still happens till date, and that's the reason why you end up getting much better quality out of the vehicle, right? So if you are interested, please get ready, get your Sunday clothes out, go round for that interview and try to impress the salesman so that the Comet can be yours. So one of the features that again is interesting is that you have a key fob, no keys on this one. So you get into the car, you sit down, keep your key fob away, and that's it. Vehicle is ready. Okay, so the display is cute, but I'm not really happy. I think I'm a little bit of old school, and I would want that you have a more conventional display, because the speed, for example, is something I'm kind of used to seeing it in the center. Now having it on the right side, not a great thing, right? So I think some amount of reconfiguration of the uh, cluster design kind of should be done, and it's kind of easy because everything is software, right? So this part is okay, it's not something which I worry too much about, but this is some place which I think we need some kind of rework happening. I'm not very happy with this, right? So this is the key fob, okay, and probably it could have been smaller. I don't think you need to kind of make it so big, but okay, that's okay. And to switch off the vehicle, all you need to do is get out, close it, and either you press the lock, done, or you could also press this particular switch, small button that is over here, and it still kind of switches off the vehicle. So very intuitive. So unlike the Maruti van, which is kind of a vehicle which almost had similar proportions, right? There is some amount of area between the front and the driver, right? And in a case of a frontal collision, I think this crumple zone, if you were to call it, is a very interesting thing. So what do you have inside this area? So obviously you got your brake fluid, you got your wiper water connection, you've got probably a little bit of AC charging kind of facilities over here, right? You have the auxiliary battery fitted over here, you have part of your battery controller sitting inside over here, right? So all of these are interesting because these will form kind of a barrier when there is a kind of an impact, right? So obviously no storage over here, and in a way it is good because that means that you get more passenger area, right? So here is where the Comet eats its lunch and breakfast. So unlike the Tata vehicles, what you will find is that there is no DC-DC charger, right? So this is just a simple AC charger, and there is no option for DC charging, right? And what's the reason? The reason is because it's a low voltage vehicle. It's at 110 volts, and DC chargers require a minimum of 300 plus voltages, right? So plus point, well, it's cheaper, right? Because all your DC related power electronics are now kind of not there, not required, right? But at the same time, if you ask me, it's not something I'm very happy about, right? So you may be very happy with a 150-kilometer range, but there are times when you want to travel between cities, maybe in emergencies, maybe because you don't have any other car, right? And you cannot wait at a dhaba for 6 hours to charge this vehicle up, right? So in the occasions that you are going to be using it, you will need to kind of have some kind of, and I hope that the classic story that comes to mind is the Tigor. The Tigor Electric, when it was launched the first time under the government's FAME rules, it had a 110 120 volt Electra system, and the range of 110 kilometers was bad, right? And I think the newer vehicles are much more popular because of the higher voltage and the fact that it can kind of get much better charging in place. So this is one thing which I think MG should kind of rethink, right? We need a higher voltage system sitting inside this baby so that it becomes a little bit more versatile, right? So here we are looking at, I can't even call it the dicky, but it's a place where you just store your charging cable, right? This is it, a little bit of stuff, right? So not very big, but I guess having a separate place for the charging cable is important, right? And the fact that it's openable is a good. The Nano didn't even have this when it first launched, right? So here we are at the bottom of the car, right? And so the interesting part is the rear suspension. So it's got a axle, and it's got an axle which has got a motor attached. So that's nice because a lot of the front wheel drives have got a fixed kind of motor. Here the motor goes up and down along with the road surface. So that actually leads to an increase in the unsprung mass, which is not really good for ride quality. But then the plus point is that the wheels are smaller. So with 12-inch wheels, the weight of your wheels, etc., is very less. So that kind of reduces the unsprung mass. So overall, I think I'm kind of going to be neutral over there. And one of the interesting things about this design is it's frugal, and so it's kind of economical to manufacture, right? So this is the same kind of design that you will see in all the e-rickshaws running across the country. And I would say that there is some good things about this design. That this is a reliable design, right? It's kind of easy to duplicate in other vehicles, and we'll be seeing more of these in future. Okay, so this is reverse, and we are now ready to kind of few words about the battery pack. So there you can see is the 17 kilowatt hour battery pack, okay? And the good part is that this battery is LFP, and even better, it's made in India. So this most probably is being supplied by the Tatas, the Tata Goshen joint venture that they run. And it's a reliable pack, and the company offers a warranty of 8 years / 1,20,000 kilometers, which is a wee bit less than the 1,60,000 that Tata offers on its own vehicles. But then it's a smaller car, so you don't expect the kind of running that will happen, because finally the life of a battery is not so much defined in kilometers as it is in charge discharge cycles. So this will go through more charge discharge cycles being a smaller battery, and so 1,20,000 kilometers seems to be kind of an acceptable figure. No problems about the battery, at least as far as we are concerned. So in conclusion, would this be a car that I would buy? And I would say the answer goes two ways. If this is the only car that I have and it's going to serve me multiple purposes, then I would probably buy a Tiago, right? But if I already have an ICE vehicle and I would want a smaller vehicle for my daily commute, I would want a smaller vehicle for someone else in the family, right? This is the vehicle to go with. There are a lot of conveniences that comes with size, right? So like Schumacher says, small is indeed beautiful. We need to not just decrease the size of our vehicles, we need to decrease the size of our diets, we need to decrease the size of our houses, right? But I think we need to make a beginning somewhere. So the Comet is a good place to make that beginning, right? So what would be my wish list? If MG can do two things, right? I think I would be extremely happy. So the first is to get the voltages higher so that we can get DC fast charging happening on the occasional long distance trip that we make on this vehicle. And the second is, this is a lovely place for a few solar panels, and even if I can get about a 10-15 kilometers of range coming in from this particular thing, I think that would be fantastic, right? So that's Atul Gopal from PowerSwap. Thank you very much for watching.